digress slightly, but let's have a look at another Cornelis record, Spring mot udda spring. Cornelis sjunger Bellman, who sings songs by the Swedish 18th century.
That was almost 4 years ago, and I made a video called Cassette Community where I talked about some cassettes that I have, even though I'm not really a cassette collector. So I made this Cassette Community video, and now recently I got hold of some nice new cassettes, or new cassettes, they're old cassettes of course, but new titles in my collection, and very good titles I have to say, so I bought them and didn't have to pay that much for them, so I thought, why not show them now in this video? So this is Cassette Community Volume 2. So this is the first one. I'm sure you recognize this. It is Michael Jackson's Thriller from 1983. It's on Epic, looking like this, very nice, in great condition and plays very nice. And believe me or not, but this is the first time I've owned this album in any format, although it's one of the most sold albums of all time. I'm not really a Michael Jackson fan, but I have to agree that this is when he's at its very best. And even though I hadn't heard this album before, I think I've heard almost all of the songs because almost all of them sounded extremely familiar. So now I have it. Then we have an American cassette here, David Bowie, Changes. Looks like this. And it has this cardboard box instead of the normal plastic box. And on RCA, as you can see, in great condition, unlike my fingernails. And plays good too, and you rarely find this. It is, I don't think this kind of sleeve or box or well cardboard cover for cassettes, they weren't really used here in Sweden, especially well, I don't think they were used in Europe in any major sense, so it was fun to find this. Also, here's a bit of a problem that I thought about when it comes to cassettes from different countries. When we talk about vinyl records, we can talk about pressings, we can talk about US pressings, UK pressings, German pressings, all. But what do you call it when we talk about cassettes? Because this is obviously American, but you can't really say it's an American pressing because these aren't pressed, are they? So if we would talk about a cassette pressing, then it would be something for the hydraulic press channeler. Now we're going to place this cassette tape in the press. It's very, very dangerous, and it may attack at any moment. Right? No, sorry. That's a tribute. Right. So what would we call it? American issue, or well, I don't know, but this is American anyway. Over to some other quality music here. John Lennon, Mind Games, on the Music for Pleasure label, which shows, of course, that there was good material on that label as well. Cassette looks like this, and it is, of course, John Lennon's album from 1973, I think, but on the later issue from Music for Pleasure, I think this is from 1980, so, well, who knows? I'm not sure if it was issued after or before the murder of John Lennon. Well, probably before, because it was so late in the year. Anyway, great album by John Lennon, and nice to find it, and it plays exceptionally well. I do not really have any good cassette deck or cassette recorder nowadays. Well, but of course back in the days very few people had, because they were extremely expensive. So but I have this little Sony here by my side with a CD and a radio. Plays okay, but of course it would be nice to have something better, but we'll see what happens in the future. Then we have another old Beatle, George Harrison, Somewhere in England. That was one of the first solo albums by any of the Beatles members that I heard and that I purchased. This was back in the late 80s, I think, yes. And I bought it on a whim because I knew it was a former Beatles member. And I have heard all of George Harrison's albums, and for some reason this is one of my favorites because I love the songs on this one. I think all of them are very good, unlike some of his albums where I think it's a bit uneven. But I've been listening to this many times on vinyl, and now I have a cassette copy as well. Plays fine. Then over to disco classic, Earth, Wind and Fire, I Am. And this is, of course, today most known for, we have Boogie Wonderland with 3 emotions on this one. So this is from 1979 and plays nicely too on CBS. Well, what more is there to say? Disco classic. I have this on vinyl too. Is there any of these? Yeah, Michael Jackson. I didn't have that on vinyl, but the others. But it's fun to find these cassette issues as well. Then we have Eric Clapton, a very famous album, 461 Ocean Boulevard, from 1976, I think. 74, actually. Well, also plays very nice. Remember, I only paid around, well, $1 for each of these cassettes, so very cheaply. I got some nice music on tape. Then we have Greatest Hits, Bob Dylan. This is, I think this issue was, the original issue was from 1967. It says 1974 on the cassette, so maybe that's when this cassette was made. But for some reason I get the impression that the cassette might be a bit of a later issue because, well, I'm not really sure. Not really sure, but, well, anyway, Bob Dylan. And then another Bob Dylan, Highway 61 Revisited. And this is the album was of course as you know, from 1965, and this is also a 1974 cassette. It says that here, so I'm sure that's right, even though I would have bet that it might be from the 80s, but it says 74, so that's probably right. Okay, finally I'm going to show you 4 Elvis Presley cassette of very dubious legality. First we have this one, Elvis Presley Christmas Songs, with the famous Christmas album image here from the 60s. This is, well, check the cassette. Peacock. Looks like one of those you could buy without any recordings on and record yourself. Because yes, of course, this is some sort of pirated issue. This is not, it's not a proper issue, and it's on the, but it says it's on the Peacock label here. I don't know if you can see it. No, probably not. Anyway, so I think that this is from Hong Kong, but it is. I think we have around 20 different Christmas songs with Elvis Presley. So it plays good, plays well. And sound quality, well, it's not perfect, but it's not awful anyway. So a bit of a pirate cassette, probably from Hong Kong. Yes, and then we have another one. This is Kissing Cousins, and it happened at the World's Fair. Like a double cassette or double. I mean, we can see the image of the original LP, Kissing Cousins. So it looks like it is a cassette that contains the 2 albums, Kissing Cousins and It Happened at the World's Fair. And it's on the original sounds label, but also when you pull out the original, the actual cassette, it looks very homemade, as you can see, and it says nothing about Elvis Presley on the actual cassette label. I haven't listened to this yet because there's something jamming it, so you can't really play it. And I see there's a little, I don't know, probably can't see it, but if you can see this little white thing there. It's a bit of a plastic that has come loose from inside the cassette. I think that is the reason why it won't play. So someday when I have some time, I'm going to open this up and have a look inside and see if we can salvage this fantastic cassette. And if we can't, then doesn't really matter, does it? But it's more the fun thing to show. Pirate cassette. Probably also from Hong Kong. And then we have Elvis Gold Records. Can't be wrong. It's well, you recognize this image, of course, and it is the songs from, well, it's not just it's like the songs from the Golden Records Volume 2, and with more songs. There are around, let's see, 24 songs on this cassette. So and this has a label that says Gold Star Stereo, Top of Pops. And this one, the pressure pad has fallen off, but it's still there, so I'm going to glue it back later, one day when I have some time. If I can get this tape apart. Yeah, it's screwed, so they have screwed it. It's not glued. So, and this says Hong Kong on the actual label, so I know it's from Hong Kong. So so I don't know whether this can be played later, but I would think so. And then finally, another from this Gold Star Stereo company from Hong Kong. Elvis, Wooden Heart. I have to say that they have made the sleeves look very nice, and the contents, I mean, quite a lot of material. We have 23 songs on this album, this cassette, and this looks a bit more official, if you know what I mean. It looks like a proper cassette, and it plays well. You can play it, but also if you check here, those tabs are not supposed to be there on a pre-recorded cassette. So, well, I think it's a bit of a homemade thing anyway. And of course, if this were to be a proper issue, it would have RCA written on it. So, but I thought it could be fun just to have a look at these. And that's why I bought them. Not that I really needed them, but fun to have and fun to show here for you. Right, okay, that's 14 more minutes spoken about cassette tapes. I'm not sure when I will do the volume 3, maybe in 4 years time again. So, but well, thanks for watching. Hope anyone out there found this remotely interesting, and have a nice day.